Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me this morning. As you're blue, what's going on, bud? Vote for Pedro's in chat. Good to see you, bud. Thank you so much for being here. You'll look at the background, you'll see something pretty cool. This is a new coin that I just got in. Shift this so that you can see a little bit better. You'll be seeing a story on this here in the coming days. El Cazador. It's a Spanish shipwreck. We'll be talking a lot about this piece. Should be a lot of fun. I think you guys will enjoy this piece. I also did a short, thanks to Pedro, about a really cool coin. I'll be showing that coin here in a
Yeah, you
while
did.
as well. But let's say hi to everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. To get something situated here.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Do. I
All
wish
right. Say what?
I had my little sound effects thing with the crickets. Oh, where it went. Good morning, Ron. Good morning, Pedro. Morning, Azure. Siren, good morning.
Trying to set something up. Forgot to set up last night, so I apologize. I'm running a little bit behind this one. All right, we are good. What's up, me? How you doing, bud? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. AZ Azure again. Thanks for being here. Sorcerer Stan 9 for 9. Thanks for being a channel member, brother. Much appreciation. All right, so it's Saturday. We're gonna start off with a story, and you guys know that I have been talking about this. Last week we didn't do it because we had Mike come up and take over, and then we had Mike and Russ come up and take over. That was a lot of fun. A lot of good information, a lot of really cool coins. But I want to get back to a story, and this time, and I don't know what I did with my other story. I had two queued up for today, and I can't find the other one. I don't know what I did with it. So we're going to go north, and we're going to actually talking about something that occurred up in Canada. And this was around 2014, 2015. This was a mint theft from a man by the name of Leston Lawrence. Now, if you don't know the story behind this, sometime between 2014 and 2015, there was a interesting security failure that happened at the world class Canadian Mint. Now, for those of you who are not tracking the Canadian Mint, it is a royally operated institution. It is a global class financial institution. They are the first ones who have done the 4-9. They're the ones who initiated or started what we consider the bullion war between mints. How fine, how pure can we get it? And so the Royal Canadian Mint is renowned for its security, the architecture, and the ability to assess vulnerabilities. They've done a really good job of this, decades of predictable outcomes and understanding what's going on. So this is somebody who takes security to a new level. We're not talking the United States mints and stuff like that. We're talking about high class security structure. Again, funded and governed by the crown. And one of the best words that I could think of for this story was it was a paradox. Here you have a really highbrow, high end security, cutting edge company who is undermined by someone who simply hid gold in an unusual place. So let's talk about, sorry about that. Let's talk about how much he got away with. Well, the first thing we were talking about is we're talking about bars of gold, 4-9s fine. So we're not talking about things that are petty. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so uh, how did he develop this? What was it about this particular one that he had done? So what they did is he actually would go through and check, as part of his job was to dip a ladle into the molten gold. They would scoop out a sample and then they would put it in a circular puck and create a small little disc, and they would utilize it for purity testing. Now, during the time of this, they would uh, be put back into the vault. So they would put back into the vat, and then they would pour it out into the bars or whatever, and then they would use it back into the vault. But because of his position, because of his access to the things that he had levels to, he had an above uh, kind of an outstanding critical understanding, a critical insight to everything that happened. People trusted him beyond all other. And you're going to see that most people that ended up doing this were in high positions of trust. Um, they had keys to the vaults, they had access to the vaults. Now, there are people like the story where the guy utilized a rusty vault door in Denver to fashion a high wire, pull out bars, and then slide them across and then reach in through this little rusted panel in the door. So there's exceptions to this rule, but in most cases, you have security guards that have stolen money. You have people of power, people who controlled and manage the vaults. They're the ones that are doing the majority of this. And Lawrence was in this critical position of trust. He directed supervised access. He had full open access to all the high value precious metals. And so he was like, what is the system? What do they do? They check for gold. They have these little metal detectors. Again, there are impurities in the metal, and so the impurities will register at a certain frequency. You guys know metal detectors. People out there swinging in the dirt, right, trying to find stuff. And if you ever watch that, they'll say, "Ooh, I got a 65. 65 is a dime," or "Oh, hey, I got an 83." I had as you're that's exactly where I'm going. We'll get there in just a second. Um, so you'll see that by utilizing the metal detectors out in the field, that you can detect gold, right? So there's actual properties in that gold that you can identify. And his job was to make sure that it fell within certain quality standards so that when they were going through, it would ring a certain way. Well, there was a physical security gap. And that physical security gap was that it only worked uh, to a certain degree. Once it got um, so encompassed, I'm trying to be as aloof as I can until I drop the bomb. Um, he had coordinated this because he knew he had a really in-depth understanding of what this gap was. And just like the US Mint has installed cameras and check stuff, they had this process. Well, what he ended up doing, and initially they were like, well, this is kind of circumstantial evidence. And eventually he kind of confirmed it. But what happened was they were going through some stuff because they were missing gold. And again, they check by weight and frequency. They're constantly doing stuff like that. And he reported that there were some items that were missing. And obviously, a high position of power, he figured they weren't going to look at him. Well, in their process, they found a container of Vaseline and a box of latex gloves. And so they started trying to figure out, well, there's only a couple good reasons that somebody would have this kind of stuff. And so what they did is they started to question, well, could he have inserted this inside himself? Is there a way to have done that? And so just, I mean, the Vaseline and the latex gloves by themselves are circumstantial. However, they actually went through and uh, kind of identified what was going on, confronted him with it, and then Lawrence said, "Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing." So what he was doing is he was taking these small gold pucks and he would scrape off the excess, make sure everything was fine. He would stick it in a little plastic area, and then he would take this gold puck and insert it inside his rectum. And he would go, he would talk with the director, he would walk through the medical or the medical grade detectors, the high level security detectors, along with the director. And by doing this, he did this every day. They would they would meet, they would have a cup of coffee, and they would discuss the security matters. They would walk through the security together. And of course, the director, they would look at the director, and the director didn't, wasn't he was engaged in the vault, wasn't engaged in the metals, but he would evade detection. Now they would wand him, but the wands didn't have the same level of sensitivity as yours. Like, what a stinky thing to do. Um, but yeah, so basically, what was happening is he was bypassing the security feature that was aligning it with, "Hey, there's something there," and then when they did the wand wouldn't pick it up. But he understood this. He monitored or evaluated it. I'm sure he probably had access to one and was like, "I wonder if this will go off." But back in the day, they didn't have security cameras, and so it was this visual oversight that is, one of the things that allowed for this particular crime to happen. Now, the Royal Mint, the United States Mint, the Nui Mint, the Australian Mint, they all utilize cameras for everything. We are a closed caption society. There's cameras. Doesn't matter where you are. There's cameras somewhere. And I used to work at a convenience store. We had hidden cameras in the back rooms. We had hidden cameras near the washing bins. We had places all over the place. And we never told even employees. We never told where they all were. Um, Even managers knew that there were cameras that we didn't know where they were at because again, there's security risk. An honest person will stay honest if told we're monitoring you. And it doesn't matter where you're at in the store, you're always under observation. And the only people in our gas station at the store that I worked at when I was going to college, the only person who knew where they were at were the security team that was privately held and the owner. They're the only ones who knew where the cameras were. Whenever they were doing this, they would put tape and paper over the windows, and they would close the store for a day. They would pull all the cameras, shift them, migrate them, reformat them. And so this is the same thing that happened within the Canadian Mint. And so again, after question, he was like, "Yes, um, I actually have done that. That's exactly what was happening." The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, in their investigation, determined that he had utilized two different things. One, there was an old ventilation shaft in which he would store the gold. So once he got it through the metal detectors, he would stay within the mint, and then he would insert these into a ventilation shaft that went to the outside, and then he would extract those. But again, the theft exposed the deficiencies in security. And again, when you look at the mint nowadays, whether it's the Royal Mint or Nui or the United States Mint, even as far as taking pictures of the die and the planchet and the strike and then the coin ejection, which in the video that I did where I talked about the company that actually created that technology, the timing and stuff, they take pictures of everything. So everything is monitored 24/7. Every coin has a picture associated with it nowadays. Assuming that the Schuler presses that they utilize are fitted with these, most of them are now. But it's a really cool story. And again, it is as he stated, a stinky thing to do. Hey, Eric, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate you, bud. Mike Nodelman, woohoo. Woodsy, JJ, William E, and Oregon Stacker all got memberships. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate you. But I thought it was a fun story. I'm going to be pulling one of these. Um, I was going to say I'm going to be pulling one of these out. Let's not utilize that for this particular story. Um, but I'll be pulling out a story every Saturday, and we'll be talking about some of the thefts. There's a few more that I've got going on. Talk about some of the failures of these Canada, 1990, 96, 2009. There were tons of discrepancies. Uh, so we'll be talking about U.S. primarily, but we are going to talk about some Canadian ones as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Um, it's fun stuff. I like searching this stuff out. So cool
I
stuff.
enjoyed it.
Now we're talking 165,000. Now remember that this is associated with the crown, and so there were heavy sentences. So again, obviously, the person can never work in government anymore. Um, he was charged. I don't recall what the final case was, but it was something like $165,000 that was found inside the ventilation shaft. Um, hey, gold fits right in. Yeah, that's just nasty EMR. Um, the Crown requested a 3-year term and knocked it down to 18 months. The judge cited it was an egregious breach of trust and stated that the crime was motivated by greed. Let's see, where's the details? Oh, I put them somewhere. Oh, here it is. Here are the details of the story. The estimated total value 165,000 Canadian dollars. So like
That was
100
back in 2016, right?
20 yeah, 2014, 2015, yep. Um it's by today's standards we're talking about 3 million bucks. Like it's a big number. What were the items? 17 gold pucks. What he sold. The 18th puck never cleared security.
His butthole ate
Yeah,
them.
there was a pucker factor there.
His pucker. There was a
The
pucker.
court ordered 30 months restitution. He did serve a 30-month sentence. He was released early, but they were not able to recover 5 of the total 22 pucks that were stolen. Um,
Uh-oh.
and that's because he sold them through like pawn shops and stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess you know what? You're right, Eric. You could call that a hockey puck. Oh, I never thought
Oh,
about that.
man.
I'm gonna retell this story, and I think that's gonna be the title of my thing. Not quite what I thought when I heard the term hockey
Man
puck.
with the golden butthole.
Yeah, so again, if you guys like this kind of stuff and you guys like these stories, let me know. That is something that Mike.
Well, I have a question.
Okay,
So, um, I have worked in emergency rooms and seen things have to be retrieved out of people's bums. And when people put something up there, it is very, very difficult to retrieve because it literally sucks it right up. Um, so did he, I don't understand it because things go up a lot easier than they come out. Did he have a way? Like, did he tie a string to something?
now see, I tried to look for the
I need
details.
details.
I tried to look for the details, but most likely they're not going to be released to prevent people from trying to replicate these items.
Oh,
And so, just like when we talked to,
I got
Jack Young and things like that, just because they know what some of the security features are, they're not going to tell you,
right.
right? And so There's
question.
probably aspects of this for safety reasons that they opted not to include information, and I looked at about 7 or 8 different resources because I had the very same question. Again, I work in
Mm.
the medical field as well, and my wife used to work in an ER, and, we would get stories from my wife, and my wife, we would have some colorful conversations over the dinner table, by the way. And she would come back and she would like, "Well, we retrieved a halogen light bulb from a guy today." And it was like, "What do you mean you're" "Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
oh, yeah, there was a guy
Yeah.
that died in the ER. Why? Light bulb shattered in he
Light
yeah,
bulbs are a popular
yeah.
item. There was one. So I was working in Klamath Falls and in the emergency room, and the guy came in and he actually said he tried to claim that he was changing a light bulb and he slipped, and there he had the replacement one was on the chair that he was standing on. And yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
there's a lot of questions to that. First
I
off,
had
why in the world are
questions.
you running around your house naked changing light
Naked
bulbs?
changing light bulbs, right?
Yeah, and
You
actually it
oh,
was
change light bulbs in the nude?
yeah, so
Yeah,
this one
but
was fun. This is one of the kind of funny stories like, "Oh my god, really?" But again, it points out where there's a will, there's a way. And this is extremely important because when you're looking at doing security, when you're trying to identify things, it's always good to ask, how can this go wrong? And it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. If you are going to do something, to ask the question, how can this go wrong? What what could be the negative aspect of what I'm doing here? If you have those kind of thoughts, now we do those in security all the time, and we walk through during medical procedures, hey, we have a 85-year-old lady here on the table. We have to do a hip surgery, but she also has extremely high blood pressure and she suffers from very, very, very thin skin to the type to where you basically, if you rub her skin, she bleeds. Is a surgery conducive? And sometimes you have to say the risks outweigh the benefits, and you have to just say no. And when you look at a lot of the things that happen, and the one that Mike wanted me to talk about today, I could not figure out what I did with all my notes. I have no idea where the heck I put it. Um, I put it in a safe place. I can tell you where it's not my rectum. Um,
ah,
but
that's good to know.
the one that he wants to talk about is the one who was utilizing the forklift, the
Mhm.
little cavity in the forklift that was taking things out of the mint.
Yes.
Um, but when you look at the security items, when you look at the things that happen here, a lot of times it's very simple devices. The little cavity in the wooden leg, it's the utilization of things that just people figure out. And so I like listening to these stories and then coming back and going, it's no wonder that cameras are a major thing. Oh, well, the cameras don't catch everything either, right? There's a lot of times where people know the gaps in areas, or maybe it's down low, like the guy, despite having cameras, who was utilizing the hollow area inside the heel of his shoe to get things through security. And he would wear steel-toed shoes because of the area where he worked with the heavy metals. It was a requirement, and they would scan his shoes. They put him on X-ray, whatnot. Found out that he had these coins that he was sticking in the heel of his shoe, in a really creative piece. So we're going to be talking more about some of the other thefts that happen from the various mints. And again, if you guys like this kind of stuff, and there's something that you think maybe I haven't come across or whatnot, let me know, and I'll dig into it. I'll brief one of these every Saturday, and until we can't find any more stories. But the other thing that I'm doing, and this is Tiger and I talked about this for a long time. Eric and I have talked about this a lot. Paul and I have talked about this a lot, and that is my love for storytelling. I love to tell stories. I like doing the research and digging into things. Um, yeah, dig into it. Good pun. That was not intended, Paige. Um, and so what I'm going to be doing is once a month, I'm going to be doing kind of a deep dive into some of the other stories. There are going to be people who have done better jobs at these stories, their local knowledge and stuff like that. And I'm going to try and find people that are engaged in various stories. Now, obviously, the first couple I kind of already did the research on and have already recorded, put videos together. So I don't have them up. I did the one with the Newton brothers. If you haven't seen that, that's a fun story. Go watch it. The one that's coming out again is the one that I have on my screen, which is the Cazador or the Manhunter. And again, it's going to be one of those stories that ties not only just the numismatic aspect, but stacking. It also takes into account the use of paper money. And again, a lot of people who are anti-Fed, you hear these people that are like down with the Fed and stuff like that, talking about the Federal Reserve, not necessarily our government, but the Federal Reserve and their power over money. We'll talk about how other countries have implemented stuff like that and how it's been a problem for them as well. El Cazador is one of those stories. So it applies. I'm trying to get stories that apply more to just numismatists, but to the stackers as well, and to the treasure seekers and the treasure hunters. So pay attention to those, monitor those. And I don't know what's going on with my sound, but my volume continually keeps dropping. So I'm going to see if I can keep that from happening. But anyway, so I hope you guys like that. And it already dropped. What the hell? Why is my volume automatically
I
dropping?
don't know.
It's Windows controlling something in it. I got to go find out what's controlling my microphone and go disable it somewhere. I had this issue earlier with my monitors.
That could be NVIDIA too, because some NVIDIA apps do control the sound also.
Maybe. If it is, then I'm just going to have to delete that NVIDIA thing. The unfortunate part about it is the NVIDIA app allows me to turn on my fan, which allows me to set it at 100% and blow the stuff out of it. I can reverse the fan and blow the dust out, and then turn the other fans to 100% and kind of create a vortex inside my machine that kind of blows all the dust out of it. So I do like that feature, but I may have to just install it, do it, and then uninstall it again. So I've got to figure out why it's controlling my audio, or what's controlling my audio. All right. Well, cool. Matt T. Coins, the old man that printed dollar bills and spent them. Took long to catch him. Well, there's so many people that do that with currency.
Yeah.
Currency is a very difficult one. One, I don't study currency as well, so I don't know a lot of the stories just because I stumble across when you're looking for coins and you're searching information up, you find them. But there's a lot of great information, and I am going to be interviewing. I told Mike and Matt from the Coin Show podcast this, and they're like, "Oh, that's interesting. We're going to be interviewing her at this show." Speaking of the show, Paula, you wanted to talk a little bit and do a little plug for Matt's Coin Show. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, give me a second and I'll grab all the details.
Jack Riley knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm going to be interviewing Beth from the ACEF. We're going to be talking about some of the basic things that folks can do to identify and protect themselves from counterfeits. Got a ton of information, and they have graciously said any information you want to take and do videos on, you have free reign. You ask us what you're looking for, and we'll provide it to you. They've been really good to the channel, and so I'm reached out to her. We're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to record it. We're not going to do it live. It is just going to be a video, and so on next Friday, I'll be doing that interview with her, and then probably 4 or 5 days to get my editing and stuff in, and then I'll send it to her for release, and then next week or the following week, I'll release that probably on a Thursday. So
Okay. So there is a coin show November 21st and 22nd in Plainfield, Indiana. It's the Indiana State Coin Show. Now, there is a YouTube meet and greet at this coin show. I believe that Matt is putting this coin show on, if I'm not mistaken.
He is.
Yeah.
He got graciously gifted the task of it.
Yes. And so far, I'm sure there are probably going to be more, but so far, it will be Coin Show Podcast, Matt and Mike, Ben the Coin Geek, and T the Silver Stacker. Live Coin Q&A was invited, but we don't have anybody that's going to be there. Well, Adam is probably going to be there, but it was one of those where, if you can't commit 100%, then we'll just say you're not going to be there. So anyway, yeah, check it out. You can go to on Facebook, the Indiana State Coin Show. You can Google that, the Indiana State Coin Show. I think here I have a website.
where is it at in Indiana?
Indianapolis.
Okay.
Who's that?
Jack Young will be there with his educational table set up.
And Jack Young will be there. Jack Young will have a table. Yes, indeed. Maybe he'll wear his live coin Q&A t-shirt and represent.
I agree, Azure. We need to coordinate one in Vegas. It's easy for people to get, and the flights are cheap.
Honorary member.
It's amazing how expensive some of these flights to some of these smaller cities are.
I know. I would had I known like maybe a couple months in advance, I might have been able to pull off going, but and it's just not a good time for me because I never know how I'm going to feel. So I also can't commit. So anyway, next year, I'm going to go for sure.
Not
Neil, I like that joke.
Good dealer list. There's going to be some good dealers there.
Yeah, Matt really, and I saw the layout of this, and it's not a small show. So I know that Matt really wants to make this a big, like, YouTube social media thing. He's talked about that. So yeah, it would be cool. And I think Ben did a video on it too the other day, I think.
And if you want to know more about it, you can go check out the Coin Show podcast. The information's been listed there. They talked about it as well. So
yeah, I put a link in the chat too. So.
And what is the name of his coin shop? It's Lost Dutchman.
Matt's is Lost Dutchman.
Yeah, I can't believe I actually remembered. Can't believe I actually remembered that. Yeah. There's another. The Flying Dutchman is the one that I always get him confused with. But it's not the same person.
Mm-mm. And then Mike, of course, you guys know he works for Harlan J. Burke, and he will be there. And they are a couple of fun guys, not to be confused with
mushrooms. I was about to say that. Yeah. Azure, that's a place that I would go for a coin show.
Where's that?
Jerusalem.
That'd
be so cool. I do have a couple temple coins, though, courtesies of my mother. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so good stuff. Thanks for letting me share that. Yeah, absolutely. So there was something else that was asked. There were a couple different questions that I asked. I'm going to kind of go over some of these items. Normally, this would be a Sunday episode, but Saturdays are kind of more educational. I figured it was kind of going to be here. We're going to look at a 62 proof Benji. This was something that was sent by Samir. Those of you that were in the stream last night, he was like, "Oh my God, I finally was able to attend a live stream. I'm so happy." And he sent some photos. We're going to be talking about that. But what I want to talk about first is Michael and Nancy were doing a stream, and I popped in, and they said, "Hey, we've got a question for you." I said, "Yeah, what's up?" It's like, what is the difference between the NGC Plus designation and the NGC Star designation? And I was like, that's a really good question. There's a lot of people who may not know the difference. And there may be a lot of people who don't know that NGC has been very specific on this. And so what I'm going to do is in chat, I'm going to post a link really fast. I don't know all of a sudden why my there we go. That link in chat will take you to an NGC website. However, I'm just going to share my and I'm going to show you. Now, the NGC website looks like this. The world just happened. There we go. Okay. And so for those of you that are in vertical mode, I apologize. It's going to be very small to read, but I will, I put the link down below, but I want you guys to kind of look at this. So what does this state? Well, here's the plus designation. And so what do they say? Well, the plus designation is to assign a value or assign the plus to a coin at the high end of their grade. So what does that mean? It means that if they're showing here a proof 65, that it's really close. Maybe there's something in the field, or maybe there's something with the luster, maybe there's one certain mark, and they just can't justify making that a proof 66. Then they will drop that plus, saying that it's a very nice coin. We just can't justify it going to the next level. Now, the difference between that and the star is the star designation is very specific to eye appeal. And so when you see, and I've got one somewhere, hold it out. When you see this, back over here to
I'll be right back.
oh, you're fine. When you get over here to mine, you'll see that I have 1879S, and this is an MS65 star. Now, when you look at this particular coin, and I'm going to kind of pull this up a little bit, you can see it is very frosty, right? It has a really, really nice strike, but there are some little marks right in front of the face in that field, and it's hard to see with the glass. But there are some little marks on the field in front of the face. And those little marks on the field in front of the face, they're not distracting, but they're there. And that's going to prevent that from getting that 66. And so they put that star designation there. The eye appeal is great, but it's purely a 65. And so that's it. That's the fundamental difference. Like I said, I've put the link in chat. You can see that for yourself. This article is here. They'll talk about the various things. Now, there are people who look for these items. They like to collect the stars.
Can I interrupt for a second, Frosty?
Yeah.
The irony, the page you're showing, shows coins with stars that they actually don't attribute with stars anymore. There is a list of coins that they put the star designation on. It's all Jefferson nickels, all Roosevelt dimes, all Washington quarters, all statehood quarters, Franklin halves, Mint State and proof, Kennedy halves, Morgan dollars, Peace dollars, Eisenhower dollars, Susan B. Anthony dollars, Sacagawea dollars, all U.S. proof coinage from 36 to 78, and all silver commemoratives from 1892 to 1954. All the other coins, like Lincoln cents, you don't get the star designation on.
Has it always been that way, or did it change?
I'm not sure. I'm looking at the NGC's website that says understanding and recognizing about the star.
This is one of the things about understanding when things change as well. you have to take these kind of things into consideration when you're talking about potentially regrading something.
And of course,
Um,
those were foreign coins, and it's like they don't say anything about actually doing that with foreign coins. There's the article right there from
yeah,
NGC.
and so there is, on a rare occasion, you can have it to where they have both the plus and the star.
That is 2002 though, so they might
I
have changed.
Yeah, I have not ever seen one of these personally. I've never seen one that had both the plus and the star designation on it.
And it
Um,
could.
and it could, yeah, it very
Yes.
well could, because it could just be a beautiful, strong strike. There's just one thing that is preventing it
Yeah.
from
Well,
going
in
all.
their little story, they bring up that it can be a MS63 coin, which is not a great coin, but it can have just great eye appeal. So they're telling you that you can have a great looking coin that doesn't grade good.
And the coin that I'm showing, and I'll flip this back here. It's this one right here. About 2/3 of the way down, you'll see this image, and it shows you that you have both the plus and the star here next to that MS-67
And
designation.
that is a newer coin. So
That's
I'm
a
guessing
cute
that they might
star.
have added uh, stuff that they will attribute with star, but their website doesn't say anything about it, upgrading it.
I never Have you ever seen one that has both, Paula?
Probably. So I probably just didn't pay any attention.
That would be me.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
I
recall.
probably
Yeah, I don't
have.
recall of ever seeing one that had both designations. It would be cool to have. And again, there are people who collect this kind of stuff. There are people who chase the stars. There are people who chase the pluses, and you'll see in many cases they command a little bit higher price. Now, Akusha Collectibles, you know who that is?
Yes.
I actually got this from. Whoops, that's not the right one. Where is it? Actually, sent me an eBay listing, and he has an MS-64, and it was in 1882, San
Drew
Francisco.
and what's his brother's name? Drew and
I don't recall.
I don't recall.
But anyway, he was like, "Why is this? Why is this so much money?" And it's like, "Well, it's that star designation." And so there are people who will actually chase this, and so you can see some of these that sell for a premium. But again, whenever you're buying any of these, the star designation's nice. Excuse me. But just because it has a star designation doesn't mean that it's authentic, right? So you still have to do your due diligence, understand what an authentic slab is, know the things to look for. Make sure that you can't open the side of the slab, right? And so, again, just because it's in a slab doesn't mean it's real. Do your due diligence. Always vet and verify.
And it
Look at the
doesn't mean that
sides.
you're going to like that coin either, because that's just somebody's opinion.
Yeah. And so, but again, I want to thank Mike for asking that question. Samil yesterday asked a really good question in the older PCGS slabs. How do you how do you tell whether they're, because in the new ones you have um they change periodically, because they'll change from a 3 to 4 prong coin holder.
Yeah.
Sometimes they
Hold
were
on.
transparent, sometimes they were translucent. They changed the colors, um, the the watermarks on the items, the light, the color sensitivity, and then you have the reflectors on the back, right? So there's a lot of different things that you can look for, but ultimately, it's always about the coin, right? If you really look at the details of the coin, you should be able to identify whether or not that's authentic. Now, we've also seen people that have cracked open slabs and put their own coin in there, whether they have done things like replace it with a slightly lesser grade, or
Artificial.
whether they've
Wet.
artificially toned stuff. There's a number of people who have been doing stuff like that over the years. So again, one of the best things you can do for slabs is to look at that translucent area around the edge And if you see a lot of white shattering, look at that edge very carefully and make sure that that hasn't been opened and resealed. And if you do, then notify NGC, right? Because if somebody's cracking open an authentic slab and changing it, they need to be reported accordingly.
So Azure Blue's talking about people who collect 4-1s, lowball sets. And they are very difficult to put together, Azure Blue. And the reason is because it's hard to get a straight grade on a coin that is so heavily worn. So when you get a straight graded 4-1, yeah, it's actually a very tough grade to get. And it's interesting to watch the pricing guides on things. Normally they go, they go up, the prices go up as the grades get higher, right? But then if you go back to pour 1, it goes back up. Instead of going from like MS63 and you go all the way down, the prices decrease. And then all of a sudden you get to that pour 1 and it jumps back up. That's
Morning, Mike.
It's a very interesting thing. They're usually like pocket pieces and stuff that people have carried around and they're not damaged. They're just worn. And yeah, good morning, Mike. Yeah, I think they're interesting. I wouldn't collect them. It's not something I'm interested in, but I do think they're interesting.
And some of them go for a lot of money.
They do go for a lot.
Yeah.
They do go because once again, it's very difficult to get a straight grade on such a low graded coin.
I do know somebody who's trying to build a set of those. I can't remember what coin they were trying to do it in. I think they were trying to do one of all the denominations, one, not an entire Lincoln set or something like that. I think it was one of every denomination.
One of every denomination. Yeah.
And that's a good way to do it.
It is a good way to do it.
Because you can find dates that are affordable, and you can find those things. That's something you literally can find in your pocket change.
Yeah.
But
well, some dates, were just hoarded, and so like it's difficult to find them in any grade other than mid-state grades.
Yep. Here's my ignorance, but do gray sheet prices include the plus or the star? They do not. Oh, for Pedro.
Because the star is not an increase in grade; it's just an IOP.
No, it's just an opinion. In my opinion, it's just an opinion. I would rather collect plus grades than star grades, but all grades are just opinions, right?
Yep. So the next item up for discussion was sent to me by Samir again. He said, "Hey, Frosty, I think I was looking at a 1960 proof Benji, and I'm no expert, but I'm really interested in finding out, is this a DDR?" They are specifically looking at the reverse of the coin. And sent a couple pictures. And what I would like to do is Eric, Paula, and Mike, and Jack Riley. Shush. Okay, let's leave this open for everybody else. And I'm going to go through a couple of these pictures. You guys have seen this. I'm going to sit on a few of these that are more tells on this. Mike gave me a little frowny face. What do you guys think? Do you guys think this is a DDR, a double die reverse? Or do you guys think this is damage? Do you guys think this is mechanical doubling, injection doubling? What do you guys think is? Oh, he said that's not a frowny face, that's zipped. Gotcha.
Gold Maple's still on the 17 gold.
Yeah,
puff.
gold Maple's going back and reviewing Yeah. He's like, I like this story. Look at a couple of these. There's a couple telltales in this that uh, if you guys have seen Chuck's famous picture that he drew on a whim to show somebody, now it's everywhere and everybody
It is
utilizes it.
everywhere.
Um,
It's a good thing.
look at these and let me know what you guys think. You guys think this is a double die?
Nobody's answering.
I'm gonna give him some time. I'm comfortable with silent pauses. I teach, do a lot of education. I can be quiet. I don't like to be, but I can be.
Ron.
Robert says the yes is doubled. Robert, thanks for playing the game, brother. And again, there's no wrong answers, only opportunities for improvement. All there is.
Oh, there's wrong answers.
Nope, no wrong answers.
There
only
are
opportunities for improvement.
They're still wrong.
Nope. They are not wrong. And this is a teaching level. And I do this in the medical profession as well. In order to learn, sometimes you just got to get past the nervousness of being able to answer a question. I don't want people to think I'm stupid. The stupid question is the one that you don't ask, because most likely you're not the only one in the room that wants to ask that. Often your question leads to insight, knowledge, and opportunities for growth. And so even though you're taking a stab, you don't know what's going on. It's not necessarily a wrong answer. It's an opportunity to be educated and enlightened on what it is that you're actually looking at. Now, a lot of people don't agree with my viewpoint on that, and that's fine. But when we're looking at this, there is something very specific about this. And this is one of the best images. You guys see, I'm leaving it here for quite some time. This is one of the best images.
He only has a picture of Southern Coin Hunter. He doesn't have the coin.
Yeah. Well, you don't
need
need
to
it for
it.
this one.
Mm-mm.
You don't need it for this. This picture tells you 1,000 words. I don't need to rotate it. There's nothing I need to do. It is very clear what this one is. And so when you look at the device elements, again, I want you to look at, let's look at the
top
O,
of the O,
the top of the F, okay? The C. Now the C, this one made me go, oh.
But it's still dimensionally challenged.
Yeah, maybe. Curious.
So I'm gonna interject real quick on that point. I would never look at these pictures and tell this person this coin's not a doubled die. I want to see the entire coin.
That is true.
Because you can have ejection doubling, or AKA strike mechanical machine doubling, on a coin that is also a doubled die.
That is
There's
true.
a very famous 1969 S that has both.
And it has huge.
It does.
Machine doubling.
It does. Mm-hmm. But you can diagnose just those elements that he's showing.
So, Mike, there is a reason that Gold Maple actually made that comment. We were talking about the story, and that's how the guy was getting stuff out of the mint. So you don't need to strike those comments. It's okay.
And Gold Maple must be way behind.
Yeah, maybe, probably. So you can leave those in there, Mike. It's okay. We understand what's going on. That was actually part of the conversation this I appreciate you doing that, but
an hour ago.
Yeah. It's been literally an hour ago. So the point to this is, again, there's a lot of ejection. There's a lot of mechanical doubling in this particular piece. But Paul is right. You need to see more additional information in order to make the determination. Now they did send the coin, but I can't see this well enough. Right? I would need to see.
One of the reasons I say that, especially on Franklin's, that's another case where you need to know the series, is because on a lot of Franklin's, the DDRs are at the Eagle's wingtips on the reverse or on E pluribus unum.
Yeah,
So
62 is
just to look at the perimeter, at the devices around the perimeter is not good enough for me. I want to see
62 is a year that isn't full of double dies like many of the other years are.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. It's a year that there are none known.
Correct. Yeah, I'm just saying, like 63, there's a plethora of them.
Right. For whatever reason, people search those more.
And remember that we're talking about a proof coin, right? And so you can have double dies on proofs, right? We know that they get
lots of double dies on proofs.
Yeah. And so a lot of people are like, well, their proofs are done differently. They are. But again, we're not talking about double strikes. We're talking about double dies. Again, the process for the making the die is the same. It's just they undergo certain treatments and certain care, and the strike itself is a little bit different.
Well, so there you actually have, if you want to talk about it that way, you might even have a better chance of having a doubled die on a proof coin, because not all business strike coins were multi-hubbed, but all proof coins were multi-hubbed.
Not just multi-hubbed, multi-struck.
Well, multi-struck also, but all of the dies, the working dies, were multi-hubbed.
So gold maple, here's the thing. It doesn't matter what mint it is. Double dies are the same. They go through the same process. Now, the one thing that's going to be different is the laser engraved dies, right? They remove the hubbing process. They actually engrave the die straight on it. And then, I don't think that they're making master dies and then doing that anymore. I think they're just doing straight working dies.
It depends on the amount of dies.
Yes. And it depends
that was
on
like one last year. They actually made the master die on a laser, and then they made the hubs and everything the standard way. But like on a Lincoln cent or a nickel or a dime, where they make thousands of dies, they're still doing the hubbing.
Yeah, I don't know that they're doing that with all denominations yet.
But commemorative coins, 1,000, 10,000, there's no reason for them to go through the whole process when they can just
laser engrave the one.
Make 5 dies through the laser.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is it's if they don't stop the laser during the process, it's just copying the image. It doesn't mean that there can't be a mistake, or there's not something in the artist rendition of this, or there's something that happens during the actual cutting of the die. There can still be errors. There can still be varieties in the coins. There can still be those things that happen. It's just not going to be as prolific because you're not doing that hubbing process. But it doesn't mean that you will never have an issue with a laser or a table getting bumped, or the machine not being tightened down properly, and something happening when they're doing that. There's still opportunities for problems. They're just going to be less.
Well, so the biggest reason, Mike, is to save money, right? They're only going to be doing that, I'm sure, on coins that have a lower mintage.
Yeah.
Where they don't have to make multiple ones. It makes more sense to laser engrave a working hub and then hub working dies. It just makes more sense to do that.
Happy chappy. It's just an abraded die. It was actually there. They just basically sanded it off.
Yes. And that's why there are so many years. And actually, you can find a missing FG, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say on every single year.
In a lot of them that are graded no FG, you look at them and you can see the FG.
Yeah, for one reason or another, at some point they caught on. And so like with Lincoln Sense at the 69D, that became a cherry pickers variety because it was really the first one that was ever discovered, the 69D.
Yeah,
and it just happens to have, they don't all have like the floating roof. Some of them do, some of them don't. But it's just a Mint employee that just got a little overzealous when they were probably trying to remove a clash. And that part on the die is just really weakly done anyway.
Yeah, basically 69 and 70, you can find them on every Mint.
Yeah.
For those, and then they changed the design again in 71. So.
And it also tends to disappear on later die states.
Yep.
So as the dies wore out, which is one of the reasons why really the only ones that they will attribute as a no FG are early die states. They will
actually, cherry pickers removed it. I don't think they'll even attribute it anymore.
They do still. PCGS will still attribute it, but only on very early die states. They will only give it the attribution, the FS 901, I think is what it is, on very early die states. So anything else is garbage. There is no such thing as a floating roof. That was made up, just like it's the old version. It's an older version of the In Cod We Trust, or the L on the rim.
Well, the L on the rim was for a reason. I mean, that ended in 68, and because they replaced the.
Well, so is the floating roof, but.
Yeah. Well, that ended in 70.
But it's not.
69 and 70 is a separate design. Then 71, you got a new design again.
It's not a thing.
So.
I mean, the floating roof is just not a thing. Don't fall for it. If you like it and you think it's neat, collect it. But it's not an attributable variety.
What about the spitting horse?
So the spitting horse is a die crack.
Right.
It actually has a progression.
Spirit buffalo is the same way.
Yeah, Spirit buffalo is a gouge, die gouge. It's not a thing. Paula Bloom. That's right.
Missed the day of hand engraved dies. Wow, you're showing your age, Jack.
Well, you know what? Vote for Pedro feels the same way because he's a fan of the ancients. So,
yeah.
Well, folks, let's go to the last thing that I have on the topic today. And this is something I didn't tell Paula and Eric that I was going to talk about because I wanted this, whatever.
Uh-oh.
I had talked about this in a video. I have talked about this in a multitude of other areas. My entire screen.
I think. Oh, no, I don't know what it is.
Boom. We did talk about that.
1999, the United States minted 39 coins. They were Sacagawea. They were gold. And these were all but destroyed. There were 12 of them that remained, and they were sent up in a historic flight into space. Now, why was this such a big deal? Well, they went into space. That's cool. But this particular mission was really cool because it was the first time that a female commander was put in charge for a shuttle mission. And this, as you can see here, is Colonel Eileen Collins. Colonel Eileen Collins would go to do a couple other missions. She was on a number of different shuttle launches, had a lot to do with the program, and a brilliant lady. And to commemorate that, they threw these coins on there. There were 24 karat gold, and they traveled nearly 2 million miles. Right? So if you want to go see the video, go check out the video that I did on this. Mike, that was Eric. Eric gifted you the membership, so you are welcome. Anyway, for those of you who aren't tracking, these things went to auction. This is the slab that they came in, and we're going to show you some of the prices. So if you've already seen this, please don't spoil the fun and drop all the prices. I want to kind of go through these. You guys can look at this, but don't jump ahead of me, please, in chat, because I want to talk about some of the different things. Again, there were only 7 of them that were sold. Sorry, did I just say stole? That was a bad thing. Sold. And again, if you go here, you can click on it. You can look at the obverse, the reverse. You can see the really nice cross-hatching pattern in the tail feathers. So what did the first one sell for? Well, I can tell you this. It wasn't the most expensive. And this one sold for a whopping $380,001. Now, why is the 1 there? Talked about this a week or so ago. Eric, you want to say why there's a 1 there?
You mean in the price?
Yep.
Because they wanted to go above the actual bid increments to force the other person into a bigger bid increment.
No. Mike
No?
Nodelman got it right. Monetization. These were not.
Oh,
they
that's
were
right.
not
I forgot
monetized
about that.
coins. So
Yep.
when they sold these, it became $1. So they had to charge them the $1 that piece.
Yeah,
So
they are
every one of these
officially.
is going to end up in a 1.
Yeah, they are officially monetized now, so you
They're
could
officially
spend it if you
monetized
wanted
coins.
to.
Yes, you can. Which you would be extremely foolish to spend one of these. But Mike is absolutely right. So they
You bet.
became monetized, and so that's why.
Which,
you
in
have
my opinion, is
$1.
a much more interesting part of the story than the fact that they went up in space. I think the fact that they were never authorized and then now they're monetized is much more interesting to me.
Well, that is
Then-
something to do with the law that they have to be monetized to sell them.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's why you can't own a 74 aluminum cent.
Yep.
Because it was never monetized.
Yep. And one of the reasons that people were able to keep the 1933, it was already monetized. They had already been released to the general public. It was the executive order.
Wow.
So that's
Taser.
the first one. So let's go look at lot number 2, and this one sold for $360,000. Again, you're going to see that 1. Now the 1 was the thing that made me, because again, they have to tack on that extra $1 there.
And they did say they were going to do it.
Yep, they
And
did.
these were-
And this was something that was announced.
These were 69, right? Proof 69s.
It says on each one of these, but I'm not sure what the grade for each one of these was. I don't know. This one's 69 deep cameo.
Okay.
This one's 69
Better
deep
all
cameo.
be. Yeah.
69 deep cameo. I don't know if there were any that were 70s or not. I want to say that there probably was, and when you see the price of a couple of these, you'll understand. So that's number 2. Now, I had a couple conversations this week with Azure, and actually that lots 1 and lots 2 were a steal. Why do I say lots 1 and lots 2 were a steal? Well, let's look at this one. $400,000.
Yeah, almost starts kicking in.
Right? And so when we look at, again, we start seeing proof 69. Again, there's only 1 of 7 of these. Yeah, that's an extremely high.
Hey, that's 4 of my treatments.
I just thought it was really cool to see that 1 at the end of this, because they had to tack on that $1.
That is really interesting. I would not have known that.
Because it's like, hey, I just dropped 401,001, sir. Like, oh my God, I don't have an extra $1. Can somebody loan me $1?
Loan me $1.
I only brought 400 grand. Excuse me, here, I'll trade you this coin for $1. No, but this is the part that made me smile in all of this. It's a really great piece of trivia. This is something that you should lock away if you were a trivia fiend. This is a really good piece of trivia. Why was the $1 added to all the auction prices for these. So again, if you're a trivia buff, Mike, I know you guys have your coin AI thing. That might be something that would be fun to program into that.
Eric was speaking from an eBay bidder.
I was, yeah. I was, because a lot of it is.
Yeah, I know exactly. I do that. I do that.
I had forgotten because we went over this. I had forgotten about the $1 being added for monetization.
Yep. Cool stuff. And again, you're looking at a couple different elements here. But again, we keep seeing the number go up. We're getting it to now. This one, for all of you wacky tobacco users and doers, the 420. This is going to be something that people like anyway. Just for people that like those safety brakes, I think that's what people call those. Number 5. Look at this, $500,000.
Why are they going? Why
FOMO? Everybody's missing their chance,
and that's exactly
but didn't
right.
they all go up for bid at the same time?
No,
they ended like 5 minutes apart, I think.
Yeah. So what they did is they did all the silent bidding ahead of time,
right?
And then they did the live auction. They started with lot 1, then lot 2, then lot 3. And as they were starting to sell, people are going, man, I better get on the ball.
There's something about these,
right?
Yeah.
And so you see that these go up. There we are, $550,000. And it looks like they're all proof 69s.
Yeah.
And it looks like the bidding increments go 50,000 at 500,000, eh?
I don't understand.
I don't know either.
This one,
that's well beyond my scope of bidding.
So you'll notice this one's different. We'll get to that one here in just a second. I have massive problems with that one. And then again, number 7, proof 69, deep cameo.
Oh, the last one is a 70. Oh, that's the 2025.
Yeah. And so now, anybody want to take, and if you absolutely know, please don't write it down. If you're looking at it, don't announce it out loud. But does anybody want to take an approximation guess of how much? And I have such a freaking problem with this. I have so many concerns with this particular piece. We've seen this. We've talked about this with the flowing hair. Talked about this. The Royal Mint is doing this. The United States Mint is doing this. I have a problem with the very first coin struck. Where in the documentation do they see the sealed item where they stopped the presses, they brought the mint director down, they signed everything, they have all of that to it? And if it doesn't, how in the hell do we know it's actually the first coin? What documentation do they have? What proof do they have? Because what happened if this coin would have had a major scratch through? And if you remember the flowing hair, some of them did. Some of them graded at 63.
Wasn't the first flowing hair actually a lower grade coin?
It was. It
Well,
was.
You could say that with all of those. Like, how do you know for sure that those actually went up in space?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of documentation here. There are. This one is, they have the shuttle documentation that shows what was done whenever you put something onto a spacecraft. It's logged, it's cataloged. When something comes off, anything that occurred to it is kept by the astronauts in a log. There is so much documentation on these coins from the NASA standpoint that, what happened.
Do they show it?
It's all, you can request information from NASA on this. They break information
like the Mercury dime that Gus Grissom took up. I wonder what that would be worth if it ever went up for sale. I do realize they have it in the Smithsonian.
Yeah, so there's a lot of documentation that has to be had. There's manifests, there's what happens, and then when they offload, they have to account for all of those pieces again. They account for everything, and we're talking. They account for the amount of waste that is brought back. They account for all that stuff, right? So very detailed reports about what happened. They show that these are there. They show them they're on. They have the flight launch. We know the number of navigations around the globe that they made in this particular one. So they're able to estimate the mileage from the mint to their back to Fort Knox. They've been in Fort Knox the entire time. That's where they were stored. There's so much documentation on the Sacagawea gold dollars from 1999 that okay, no problem. I get that one. I have
They
a real
always
big
have
problem with
test
the
strikes on
2025
them.
though. Say again?
John Hanna has a good point, and it's a fact. There are always test strikes.
Well, yeah, but again, they
Always.
destroyed there were 39 strikes. They destroyed all but 12. And it's documented, right?
Mm.
Now, what's to say that in 1999 somebody couldn't have given one of these away? Oh, by the way, why did they only sell 7 of these? I think we're going to see these become very expensive gifts. One of them most certainly will end up at the Smithsonian. They may end up back at Fort Knox. Who knows where the other ones will end up? I think they're probably going to be donated to high officials in
Mm.
special awards and stuff like that. I think those are going to
Yeah.
be given away. I think that's why they didn't sell 11 of the 12. But I'll almost guarantee that we end up seeing one of these at the Smithsonian. I'll almost guarantee it.
There is without a doubt, Jack Riley. There are test strikes.
Yeah, but
So
again, a lot of those are
that is
destroyed.
not. No, I understand that, but to call something the first strike
Oh, yeah,
is
exactly.
completely
Yeah,
incorrect.
so I have a huge problem with this. Now I've seen a couple of prices go up 75, 80, 85,000. This coin actually sold for a little bit more than that. It actually went for $120,000. Now, can anybody tell me without looking it up how much gold is in here?
Yeah, half an ounce. Is it half an ounce?
Yeah, it's a half-ounce gold coin.
Yeah.
$120,000. And
Mhm.
I would love to see the documentation on how they can validate and verify that this in fact was the very first one done.
Well, you would think they would have
Well,
to have
typically things like that are struck by the actual like mint director.
Yeah, Jack, that's a
There's
half ounce.
there's a whole it's a whole ceremonial thing.
Yeah, I believe they're struck on the
But
gold buffalo half ounce rounds, right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they talk a little bit about it down here. So
But
again, if you want to know about these, I'm going to put that in chat. Sorry, Paul, I didn't mean to be cutting you off.
that's okay. Yeah, they're usually like it's usually like a whole big to do. They're struck, they're actually packaged right then, and um but
Yeah, now when the Royal Mint did some of these,
no,
the
the weight and everything's gonna be the same gold maple. So
yeah, when the Royal Mint did these, what they did something a little bit different. So they brought the 150 blanks out or whatever it was. They laid them out on the table. They brought cameras in and they laid these things out on the table. And here's number one. And then they put it on there. Person set it in, pulled the glass down. They
these are
struck the
24
coin.
karat check.
They pulled it out, they inspected it, they put it on the thing. The person certified it, they put it in the plastic container, and then they set it aside. And that was coin number one. And then they did coin number two. They documented it very clearly. They went through each piece, broke it out, laid it out. I would love to see the information for this one to see exactly how they can tell me that this is number one.
Yep, Chad Brockman, they are 24 karat gold. The 2025 is 24 karat.
Yeah,
No.
but it's only a half an ounce.
What?
The 2025 is 24 karat. The 2000 are 22.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Now, again, we talked about one of the potential issues. Now that a gold coin has been released to the general public, we are going to see a lot of potential misinformation and disinformation regarding normal Sacagawea and the Native American series. So what is really important now is you understand where the date is on this coin versus the Sacagawea. You're going to want to see, the plain versus the lettered edge. You're going to want to make sure you understand the difference in the front and the back of the coins, right? Make sure you understand the differences here. Look at weights. Obviously, one is gold and one is manganese. But you're going to see a lot of people, and we already seen this. I showed you guys an article probably a year or so ago, directed from Yahoo Finance. The name Yahoo should have told you about their idea of money management. That talked about gold people or old people need to invest in gold, and they showed a handful of presidential gold dollars. Yeah, massive problem. But now these are gold. I guarantee you we're going to be seeing stuff like this. So if you're going to be looking at the 2025 gold, unless you've purchased it from the mint, if you're doing this on the second hand, you better make sure that you're buying this from a reputable source, because we will be seeing this
Well,
later
you know
this
what
year
comes
and
with half
next
million
year.
dollar coins, Frosty?
Say again?
You know what happens when you sell a coin for $500,000? The counterfeits come a year later.
Yeah, well, they'll be coming before that. They'll be out
Right,
before
right. I'm
that.
just giving them time.
Yeah, but again, this was open to the general public. A lot of these sold for, $2,500, $2,800, whatever it was when the mint released these in their limited edition run. I can't even remember what the mint.
It was 23.25.
Yeah, and so again, it's just really important. Make sure people understand. Yeah, so Jack's like, I'm already looking for them now. You need to be, right? Because it's not, and I said this with the flowing hair, and people were like, oh, well, Frosty, they're not going to do this. And then here a month or so ago, I did, I said, hey, look at this. Here it is. I told you guys it was coming out. It's already here. The 2025 230th anniversary flowing hair. They don't even get the fact that 2024 was the 230th. And again, they look nice. They're in really nice containers, but they're not authentic. We know that they didn't make a 2025. And so you need to be very observant. Understand there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation that's going to come from this. And we need to just prepare ourselves. This will be counterfeit. It will be out there, and you need to take care of yourself and do due diligence. You're going to be looking at getting one of these on the second. Mr. and Mrs. West Texas, every weekend we have people coming in with these gold coins that their relative left them.
Yeah,
Yep, all the time.
that's a big problem.
Yeah,
And
we
just
had
the marketing calling them gold dollars was a bad idea from the mint.
Mhm.
yep. Well, and they were called golden,
Right.
right? Golden is a color. Gold isn't a metal.
They should have said burnished or something like that. They
Yep.
could have used a different term.
And so, well, but again, they wanted people to do something. It was all a marketing ploy, right? Words matter, and so it is just one of those things where it's what it is. Unfortunately, this will be just like the flowing hair. We're going to see this in slabs. Going to, somebody's going to get caught with their pants down in this particular one. So be aware of it. Put it on your list of things to pay attention to. Make sure you inform people of the difference. What are the design elements? What do you need to look for? And we'll be going through documenting some of these things. I've got another video that's almost finished on this, talking about the difference between the Sacagawea dollar and the Native American series, the gold dollars, what the differences are, the diameters. Mike and Matt talked about this a little bit on the Coin Show podcast, that there's a 0.5 millimeter difference between the coins. It's outside of tolerance, but again, it's just one of those that most people are not going to visually notice a 0.5 millimeter. You're going to need a caliper or something like that to be able. But there are specifications. This is a mint product, and so you need to know what those specifications are in order to protect yourself. So again, now that these things are out, Just be aware of that because it's going to happen.
Yep.
Do we know who the high bidders were on any of these? I don't see any names on who.
Not
Oh,
me.
they don't put names on. That's all. It's all.
I can assure
Confidential.
everybody I didn't get one.
It's
Well,
all
I can tell you that Mr. Boyer didn't get one either. Sorry, that was a cheap. I joke because he put in a bid for the flowing hair #1, and that number ended up being up super high. So just picking on him a little bit. But yeah, again, just be watching this. It is something to keep in mind as you're looking at these kinds of things.
tell you he did.
Somebody will get caught thinking that these are the old Sacagaweas are gold dollars now, and so again, it's just another one of Pandora's boxes that Ben has opened up by doing something.
Well, I can tell you that on the other ones, that the 2000s, that the gold ones that went up in space or whatever, the cross hatching on the tail is going to be a big security feature on those.
Fact, yeah, just like the Cheerios dollar.
It's like
But
a Cheerios dollar.
the Cheerios dollar had 3 different ones, correct?
2.
Just 2? I thought it was 3.
Yep.
I thought there
Nope.
were 3 dice.
Nope. 2.
Okay.
2. There was a regular reverse and the pattern reverse, which is the cross hatching. And both could be found in the packaging, in the Cheerios dollar packaging. And you don't know which one you have unless you send it to be graded in the packaging. But you can find graded examples of both regular reverse and the pattern reverse, the enhanced tail feather reverse.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that it's only the one, but the really true way is you have to have it in the package.
I don't
Otherwise, there's
think
no
the
way to
new
classify it.
2025 Ws, I don't think those have the cross hatching, the pattern reverse. I think they're different. I think only the 2000 have that. But it's a good security feature for those 2000s.
Yep. Yeah, so it's again, cool story. I wanted people to see this. I know a lot of people. I've had probably 8 or 9 people. Azure Blue, the moment the auction ended, I was watching the auction while attending a training, and not more than 15, 20 minutes after the auction ended, I was looking at the site, and Azure Blue sent me this, and I was like, great minds, brother. I was just looking at this. And I wanted to, this is the kind of wrap up piece I wanted to share with you. But yeah, anywhere from 360 all the way up to $550,001. So quite the spread. And the people who got it at 360, they got it cheap.
Yeah. I bet they didn't think they did though.
Well, they did after
After
coin
the
Yeah, after
four,
coin
five
six
went
went, they
through.
were probably jumping for joy.
Right?
Yeah.
They could turn around and sell it right away and make a couple $100,000 profit.
Well, that's what I told Azure. I said, that's an immediate flip, man.
Yep.
It's a $200,000 profit in 20 minutes. That's yeah, timing is truly everything. That's absolutely correct. So I'm gonna, and Azure knows this. We've been talking a lot. I'm gonna actually bring Azure up. For those of you who don't know, Azure is an attorney, worked on Wall Street. Really is good with finance. I'm going to coordinate a time with him and have him on panel. We're going to talk about um, some strategies, investing, things to look for when you're doing stuff. So we haven't coordinated that yet, and but we are going to talk about a number of different things what to teach your kids and how to look at stuff. So it's going to be more of a money-based item, but you guys are definitely going to want to tune to that. He has a good friend that he introduced me to, and I would also love to have him come up on panel one time. We'll talk more about that. See if we can't get Dave interested in doing something like that. Would that sound like it'd be fun, as your?
My second ex-husband's an attorney.
Did he leave with your divorce attorney?
I left him. I didn't care about the money.
A good friend of mine got
jerk.
papers served to him by an attorney. Well, actually, it wasn't by attorney. It was by the what do they call those? The police constables. And the constable that delivered the documentation was the person that was.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm like, you can't make that stuff up.
Why don't I fit in?
Yeah. He came, dropped off the paperwork, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" Like, "I'm serving your husband the papers." And she's like, "Oh, you got to go." Oh, yeah, you got to love Ring. Anyway. All right, folks. Well, that kind of wraps up today. Those were the items that we had for discussion. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, more education stuff, talking about the things that happen. This was a little bit more random that we do. This is more like a Sunday stream. But we will be doing stuff tomorrow. I have no plan for tomorrow.
Yeah, send your questions.
What's up, Reckless? Hey, Reckless, are you going live after this? Are you going to be doing some of your pouring stuff?
Love pouring stuff.
Reckless has a new shop and a really cool setup, and does some really neat work. So if you guys haven't checked over just the Shrek and Rex show tonight. Okay. So, and that is 7 p.m. Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. Go over and check out Reckless Metals. They have a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, go check out Reckless Metals. Make sure you hit the notification bell, because he does pouring stuff. They walk through their entire setup, kind of talk to you about what they do, and they give little bits of advice. If you have questions about pouring or you're into stacking, oh, absolutely, brother. If you're into stacking and you want to learn how to pour, there's a lot of people in chat that do pouring. There's, I'll tell you, one guy who's up and coming and doing some pretty neat stuff is Ginger.
Help with that penny. What penny? What penny? Are you holding out on me?
You want me to?
Pedro. Thanks again for all your help with that penny. It's being shipped to me as we speak. What penny? What penny?
Pedro bought a proof scent, and it is a really, really neat pop. $700 amazing thing. Wanted to look at it, verify the information, look at the site, talk to some people, looked at it, validated its authenticity. He made the determination to buy it.
What year?
Pedro, you're going to have to give the information because I'm looking for something else.
Yeah, Pedro. Don't hold out on me.
Because we're going to be talking about
37 1 cent proof 66.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Tomorrow we're going to discuss this one though.
Oh, the 3 cent.
I love this piece. You guys saw my short on it. If you haven't seen my short, go check the short out on this. We'll talk a little bit about this coin. This was courtesies of Pedro. Pedro sent that as a way to support the channel. He said, this is for the channel. It's actually for Frostbyte coins, to educate and teach people that, mistakes do happen, but what do you need to look for? So in this particular case, buy the coin, not the holder, but in this case, we bought it for the holder. So, but yeah, so we'll be talking about this one tomorrow. So make sure you come and check that out. And I appreciate you guys. I really do.
Okay, well, I'm out of here. I got
Me too. I'll have to cut my lawn.
My grandson's birthday, 4 years old. got a party to go to, and got him some cool Spider-Man underwear.
Na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Oh, that was Batman. Wait, sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's Batman. Spider-Man. I don't know what to think.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, doing the thing that a
Does
spider
whatever a spider can.
Yep.
Can he fly? No, he can't.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
got
folks.
I got
Well,
a Cush cornhole set too.
I hope that you guys enjoyed today. Again, if you're
Me.
brand new, subscribe to the channel. Check it out. Coach, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate all you. Again, Eric, thank you for the gifted membership. Much appreciated, brother. Appreciate all your kindness and generosity.
Warrior.
All right,
Okay,
folks.
bye.
Take care. Be well, be blessed, and we will see you all later. Ciao.